Oklahoma State has gone from a top 3 dual team with serious chances to win a team trophy to a team that's struggling heading down the most important stretch of the season. They started the year undefeated in duels, going a perfect 10-0, with several guys ranked in the top 8. Now they lost 3 matches in the last 2 weeks, one of those being to an unranked team. So what exactly is going on in Stillwater, Oklahoma? Well, let's talk about it. Before we dive into this week's topic, hey everyone, my name is Tanner, and this is TrueTan Wrestling. This week's content is a little light because I am super busy with school and, well, my own wrestling schedule, so I apologize for that in advance. Oklahoma State wrestles Iowa this weekend, so you know I will cover that early next week, along with the Big Ten wrapping up their dual schedule. So there's a lot of great content coming. Just wanted to keep everyone updated and apologize for the small delay this week. However, if you are new to the channel and have no idea what I am talking about, stay a while and subscribe and check out the rest of the wrestling videos while you wait. And if you like this video, hit that like button for more content in the future, along with leaving a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts and opinions on this matter. Now, let's really dive into the Cowboys in Stillwater. Now, I have covered the Oklahoma State Cowboys before on this channel, all the way back in December when they had their first bedlam with their rival Oklahoma, and that Oklahoma State team looked unbelievable and totally ran past Oklahoma, beating them 31-3. They started the year very dominant too, along with continuing that dominance into the second half of the season. Their closest match during their undefeated duel run was against Minnesota, which was still a wide spread with the Cowboys winning 23-10 over a very tough Gopher lineup. However, there is one glaring problem on their schedule, well, sort of, and that there is no tournaments on their schedule. Well, at least for starters, there's no tournaments. Only backups and redshirts went to their Southern Scuffle, but the starting 10 have only wrestled in duels so far. This is odd because normally we always see the Cowboys at the Southern Scuffle, gaining rank wins and growing their stock. But we ended up missing the top 10 for the Cowboys, so we will only see them in duels this season until conferences. On the other hand though, they are not the only team doing this. Penn State was very similar, with only sending backups and redshirts to a few opens, but the top 10 starters only did the duels. I think this change in schedule pace is due to the COVID season last year. I think teams saw that they don't need a ton of matches to perform well at the big show, and honestly Oklahoma State is kind of a perfect example of this theory. Last year they tied with a pretty inferior Oklahoma team in the Big 12 championships. Great for Oklahoma and their program, but really concerning for Oklahoma State heading into nationals. However, at nationals, Oklahoma State balled out, scoring 99.5 points, just shy of missing the 100 mark. They placed third behind the two giant teams, Iowa and Penn State, and they had 6 All-Americans, basically all of them super overperforming their seed. It seemed like as the tournament got longer, the better they got, which was very impressive to see. Their lone champ was of course at 197 with AJ Ferrari, going on a super run as the 4 seed and just coming off a Big 12 title. They also had 2 4th place finishers in longtime Cowboy Boo Llewellyn at 149 and 165-pound starter Travis Whitlake. Dane Fix of course had a heartbreaking loss in the finals to take second for the second time in his career, and then there was of course Wyatt Sheets at 157, which is a video all on its own, but I'll give the quick version real quick. Sheets needed surgery and he did not do well enough at Big 12s or during the season to qualify himself for nationals. However, after someone could not make it, he got in as a 33 seed, aka the alternate, and he made the most of it, making it to All-American status, placing 8th on the day he was supposed to get surgery, which is incredible to say the least. There was also Dakota Gear, who placed 5th at 184, which was a very tough weight class at nationals last year, and he continued to show that his track record is great at the national tournament. And then they had Heavyweight Harris make the round of 12, which kind of stinks that he didn't punch his ticket to Saturday, but he way overperformed the fan expectation, just making the round of 12, where he beat Matt Stencil of Central Michigan and Zach Elam of Missouri in the wrestlebacks. Finally, there was Master Giovanni, who did alright at his first nationals at 125, going 2-2, and then of course there was Dustin Plott at 174, clearly still showing that he had shoulder issues, and he had an unfortunate early exit going 1-2 on the tournament. Overall though, Oklahoma State was super fun and exciting to watch last year at nationals and basically all season last year. Little side note, does anyone remember the only in-season tournament last year that Oklahoma State hosted? That was baller and super fun to watch, and Big 12s was crazy too, but unfortunately this year is not looking so good for the Cowboys. I hope this is just a minor slump for them and they are getting ready to have another peak like they did last year. The main problem I see with the Cowboys is that they are unable to finish matches the right way. They take these leads and get all the momentum and then fall off or let the momentum completely go in the other team's direction. They also have some guys missing from the lineup from time to time, which we'll get to by the end of this video, but they also have guys switching in and out of the lineup, which is concerning considering long-term health and end of the season health for starters. It's nice that other guys are getting opportunities on the mat, but it is costing Oklahoma State these big wins. In the past 2 weeks, they have lost 3 of their 4 matches. So let's rewind to 2 weeks ago when they wrestled unranked Northern Iowa. Oklahoma State won the first 4 matches, but by all decisions, and led 12-0, so it was not looking very good for UNI. But then Little Holschlag got a huge upset win over returning All-American Wyatt Sheets at 157. And you think to yourself, alright, nice win for them, but Oklahoma State is still going to win, especially in this next match with Yant going against Whitlake, because Whitlake has never lost to Yant. And then Yant shuts him out 2-0, riding him out in the third to get a massive win and momentum swing for them. Then, once Runyon pinned Dustin Plott at 174, we knew we had a duel in our hands. UNI would end up winning the duel 19-15, even with Sticka stepping in at 197 during Ferrari's leave, but that was not enough and UNI would win in Stillwater, which was crazy to say the least. Then we fast forward to the next day where they have even tougher Iowa State, and you think maybe they were just keeping their weight down, which resulted in that underperformance, or the matchups just didn't work for them. But unfortunately, they would lose once again to a very tough Iowa State team, 20-12. Terrakina would bounce back from a loss at 125 to give Mastro Giovanni his first loss on the year, and Mastro Giovanni just beat Teskey in a barn burner the night before too, so the Big 12s is definitely going to be fun at 125. And Terrakina recently just beat Cardinal this weekend too, so it's going to be crazy at that weight. Even with Fix, Whitlake, Plott, and Gefeller all getting wins, none of which were bonus points, Iowa State would get more wins and bonus point wins to take it home. Along with Coleman adding on to his awesome year, beating Dakota Gear at 184, and Schuler at heavyweight, the Buffalo transfer for Iowa State, looked great against Serber, and Schuler has been making some serious gains throughout the season. Then we jump to this past weekend, where we knew we would not see AJ Ferrari once again after his unfortunate car accident. Glad to hear he's recovering well though. So obviously AJ missing these matches was huge and made a difference in these duels, but you figured the other guys would step up and bounce back after a especially long weekend. Well, that's sorta true and sorta not. They would steam past South Dakota State, who upset Missouri the week prior, and even during the Cowboys' losses that match, they looked really tough. However, the next day, they would wrestle early season top-ranked team, the Missouri Tigers, and once again, they lost the matchups they couldn't lose, they gave up bonus, and even with getting their own bonus points, they could not change the tide, and the Tigers won 21-20 over Oklahoma State, handing them their 3rd loss on the season at Missouri. The duel started at 141 with Carter Young beating Connor Brown, who I guess just keeps going up in weight for them, just filling in. What a great teammate. But I feel like Missouri could have won this match even with Allen Harden, so I don't know where he was at, but regardless, Oklahoma State got 3 points here. Then Gefeller comes out and pins Edmond at 149, which was a huge swing match in this duel, and I basically thought it was over already, only 2 matches in, because that was a big swing match and they just got 6 out of it. Sheets would even beat Jake Hughes in the next match at 157, which was another massive swing match. However, the tides really shifted with Plott dropping another upset loss to Harmon of Missouri, who's actually having a sneaky tough year this year, so maybe they're having a roster battle with him and Mako, who are both solid options for them. Then of course O'Toole and Whitlake was also close at 165, but it was all O'Toole winning 3-2, and Whitlake did get to his legs a few times, but he never really came close to finishing on the second-year freshman stud. The next big points to mention is that Zach Elam almost got pinned himself, which would have basically gave Oklahoma State the duel, but then all of a sudden Elam rolls through, puts Serber on his back, and gets the pin, which was stunning, and I was left speechless. Then Noah Cern did his thing getting a pin, but it wasn't Master Giovanni at 125, so that was a little concerning for the Cowboys, and it basically cost them the duel because Dane Fix was unable to get the pinfall over Crawford at 133, and the Tigers won the duel at home 21-20, taking out the very tough Oklahoma State squad. Great win for the Tigers, but obviously it brings huge concerns to the Oklahoma State squad. I know Oklahoma State is in good hands, but you have to admit, all these results are highly concerning, and can we ring the alarm yet? Heck, 2 weeks ago, I had a video set for this week that I was going to call how much better can Oklahoma State get, considering they were doing so well, but now I'm left wondering if they'll ever return to that form. The obvious elephant in the room is that AJ Ferrari is still recovering from his car crash, so these are obvious points and potential points they are missing during these duels. I think he might be back in time for conferences, but you can't really rush these sort of injuries, so hopefully we see him at conferences, but I really doubt we'll see him back for the Iowa duel, even though that would have been cool to see him back in his home state of Texas. The other roster issue I want to mention is Dustin Plott's recent performances. He was a very elite recruit and he has super elite wins on his career, don't get me wrong, but it always seems as the season gets longer, he starts to really fade, and last year was due to his shoulder injury, so I just hope his shoulder is okay now, because when he is healthy, he can go and beat those really good guys. Travis Whitlake was also out for a while, and ever since he's come back, he has looked a little off, even though he is winning most matches, but the Yant loss is definitely concerning, but that was his first match back, so at this point, I will give it to him. Gear has also been losing in this stretch, but to be honest, he was thrown into the ringer, getting majored by Kakaisen of UNI, and losing to Coleman of Iowa State pretty convincingly. Both of those guys are really good and rising to their peak right now, but considering last year, Gear was only losing to Kakaisen in overtime, so clearly the gap is much larger this season. Master Giovanni taking his first loss and having super tight matches with mid-ranked guys is also concerning, and then him not wrestling the Missouri match definitely shows some red flags, but I hope he is alright because he did beat Patrick McKee of Minnesota this season, and we know with the right placement in the bracket, both of those guys can go off. Server at heavyweight, I'm guessing is their best option for that weight, and he must be winning the room battles over Harris this year because we have not seen him in the lineup at all this year. Sheets and Young at 157 and 141 both have high ceilings. I mean, Young made a national team in freestyle and Sheets was an All-American last season, but they are both taking their losses but resting their potential in my opinion, also beating really tough wrestlers. Fix is obviously wrestling out of his mind this season, and I think he is really hunting for that national title that he is missing. And then the last guy I wanted to mention was obviously Caden Gefeller, who is also wrestling out of his mind this season, I think. I believe he is still under the radar a little bit to some people, but he looks great at 149, and that has easily always been his best weight class, and he looks like he could wrestle for days, and he just likes scoring points. If you can't tell, it is not all bad for the Cowboys, but they will need some help, and they really need to start their climb to peaking again, or they are going to have a super long march. But with all that said, I hope you all really enjoyed this video. I know this was a limited upload schedule this week, guys, and I apologize for that, but be sure to watch Battle at the Ballpark between Oklahoma State and Iowa this weekend, I believe at 7:30 on Flow Wrestling, because that will be the topic of my next video. But if you miss it, I'll recap it in great detail. In other news before we wrap this up, Kylie Welker committed to Iowa, which was a massive get and highly expected recruit for the Hawks in their monster recruiting class being formed right now. The Big Ten and other conference schedules are wrapping up, so I'm excited to make content on that, and the Big Ten tournament is a little under a month away, so the dual portion of the schedule is coming to a close sadly, but don't worry, the fun is just getting started. With all that said, if you have any questions, shoot me a comment in the comment section below, and I wish you all a great day. Take care, everybody.